Elon Musk and DOGE promise to increase your Social Security checks. So that's an interesting turn of events. So we'll talk about that today. I've got some clips I'm going to show you, and then we'll talk about them. And this is also a live Q&A. See a bunch of questions already down there. If you've got any questions about all things Social Security, retirement, disability, survivor benefits, Medicare, Medicaid, make sure you type them in the chat there. But Elon Musk and DOGE, the team went on Fox and gave an interview, answered some questions. The questions were kind of softball questions, but we'll get into that. I wish he would come on to my show and I'll ask him some actual questions about all things Social Security. I can't help with all the rest of the stuff he's dealing with, but Social Security, I can definitely ask him some interesting questions about Social Security, and let's see if how he answers. But the answers to some of the questions today weren't great, but they were actually excellent in the sense of when you're an adult, you realize that the most important thing is what is not said. So we'll talk about what they said, and most importantly, we'll talk about what they didn't say. That's the key right there to everything. So I think they inadvertently saved Social Security. So thank you, President Trump. Thank you, Elon Musk. Thank you, DOGE team, for saving Social Security. Now, millions of people out there are not going to get cuts to their Social Security Administration if they're not going to get cuts to their Social Security checks if we take advantage of this. But if we just sit on our hands like we have been for the last 30 or 40 years and not keeping our politicians, to make sure those cuts don't happen, then nothing's going to happen. But let's talk about this. All right. So I always void copyright infringements particularly from Fox. So I'm going to show this on my little cell phone. So I apologize for that.
Benefits. Legitimate people, as a result of the work of DOGE, will receive more Social Security, not less. I want to emphasize that. As a result of the work of DOGE, legitimate recipients of Social Security will receive more money, not less money. All right. I want to emphasize that point and let the record show that I said this, and it will be proven out to be true. Let's check back on this in the future.
Okay, we'll check back with you in the future. So I'm not exactly sure how Elon Musk and DOGE is going to increase your Social Security benefits, because your Social Security benefits, as my regular viewers know, is based on how much you pay into Social Security, your high 35 years of earnings. And then to take a calculation of that, they index it for the wage index. They take your high 35 years of earnings and they multiply by these bin points, 90%, 32%, 15%. And so the calculations are written by Congress, by law. That's how your benefits are calculated. Not exactly sure how he's going to get in there unless he gives everybody a whole bunch extra money to put in their earnings record. Whether he increases the bin points, I'm not exactly sure how he's going to increase our Social Security benefits, but we will check back in with him and find out.
Washington Post, the Social Security Administration website crashed 4 times in 10 days this month because the servers were overloaded, blocking millions of retirees and disabled veterans from logging into their online accounts. Freaked people out. Is that going to change?
Yes, we're going to make sure that the website stays online.
Yeah. But is it a result of going in there or something you're doing?
The amount of issues or the Social Security system are enormous. As an example, there are over 15 million people that are over the age of 120 that are marked as alive in the Social Security system.
And that's an accurate figure.
Yeah, correct. 15 million. Correct. This has been something that's been identified as a problem. Again, pre-existing problems since 2008 at least.
2008.
From an IG report. So there are some great people working at the Social Security Administration that found this 2008, and nothing was done. And so 15 to 20 million Social Security numbers that were clearly fraudulent were floating around that can be used only for bad intentions. There'd be no way to use this for good intentions. And so one of the things the DOGE team is doing is carefully and very methodically looking at those and making sure that any fraudulent ones are eliminated.
Okay. All right. So this is an old chestnut that's been around. He is correct, since 2008. But the question he was asked is the servers are going to go down. And then he says, well, did you hear about this story about the millions of people that are, deceased that are still, have Social Security numbers? Yes. Well, it's been around since 2008. why are you using that to explain why the servers are going down? So I think that's a little misdirection there. But the regular viewers to my channel know about this. Yes, it was 2008. Social Security was told by the Inspector General, you have a bunch of Social Security numbers that haven't been closed out. And Social Security says, yes, they are a bunch of, from the 1970s, the old paper type stuff, legacy. Maybe that person moved overseas or somebody typed it up on the old IBM Selectric typewriter back in 1976 and mistyped the Social Security number. And they're just hanging out there. No money comes from that database. Zero money comes from that database they're looking at. And Social Security said, Congress gives us X amount of money every single year, a very, very low amount of money. Social Security has about a 1% overhead in terms of administrative costs. I don't think Tesla has a less than 1% overhead. I don't think any of these CEOs of these companies that these guys represent have a 1% overhead, but Social Security has a 1% overhead. So they are very, very, very running on a razor thin. And Social Security has said, no money is coming out of that. The taxpayers are not losing any money. Yes, we should fix it. We realize we should fix it, but taxpayers not losing any money. To fix it is going to cost a lot of money. They estimated anywhere from $5 to $8 million to correct those things correctly. How do you do it? Is you have to go through each single one, and you can't do it in 3 weeks. So if Elon Musk wants to spend his money fixing those, hopefully he's spending his money and not our money fixing those things. It's kind of like, they came into a house. Elon Musk looked at the house and says, oh, this house, AKA Social Security Administration, is condemned. It's got mold and termites and the foundation is destroyed. And it's just, it's terrible. It's the worst house I've ever seen in the entire world. And then he goes into the house and gets in there. So they're in Social Security deep, and he gets in there and I'm like, oh, wait, there is no termite. There are no termites. There are no mold. The foundation is, there's one picture on the wall that's a little bit crooked. So, and the crooked one is those little Social Security numbers that don't really matter in the grand scale of things. There's 360 million Social Security numbers out there, and they're worrying about a few million that no money is coming out of. If Congress wanted those things fixed years ago, then Congress would have said, hey, fix those things. And Social Security would be more than happy to fix it. But Congress didn't want those to be fixed because they have been using that as a club. Particular politicians, I'm looking at you, Senator from Louisiana. Other politicians have been using it too, but he's kind of the focus of it. So they have been using this as a club to beat up Social Security forever. They said, well, we can't give you any money because y'all are incompetent. Did you hear about these Social Security numbers? Everything is about these Social Security numbers. I wish they hurry up, fix it, because it's like we should use that from now on. It's like, hey, Ed, how come you don't have any hair? Have you heard about these Social Security numbers? Hey, honey, why didn't you take out the garbage? Honey, did you hear about these Social Security numbers? I'm going to start blaming everything on these Social Security numbers. So anyway, all right, let's go on to the next one. So the Social Security computer system has been down. I've got a lot of people that jump in here during the live Q&A and says, hey, it's down. And somehow Social Security numbers since 2008 are the reason. I don't think so.
Cannot pass an audit.
Next one.
In fact, in order to pass an audit, you need the information necessary to pass an audit. You need to have the payment codes, you need to have the payment explanation, and you need to have a person you can contact to understand why that payment was made. None of those things were mandatory until just recently, just a few weeks ago. In fact, maybe last week.
Yeah, we're serving 580 plus agencies, and up until very recently, effectively they could say make the payment, and Treasury just sent it out as fast as possible. No verification. And so what we're doing is what any household would do. But imagine you're a household, you have a bank account, everyone has an ATM card connected to that account, everyone has a checkbook connected to that account. It's not just your children, it's not just your parents, it's your in-laws, it's your extended family, and they all can go to the account and disperse funds. No questions asked, no justification, no verification.
Okay, that is also 100% incorrect. So if he wants to use the family thing, so you have a family, you've got your checkbook in the family, and the dad or the mom or whoever checks, make sure the kids are spending money, yada, yada, yada. And then you go ahead and write a check. Mom says, okay, go ahead and buy that new PlayStation or whatever the case may be. And then you write a check. And then what he's saying is the bank should go in there and say, hey, Bank of America or Wells Fargo or whatever should go into that family and say, hey, why are you buying this PlayStation? because the justifications are in those particular agencies. So I focus on Social Security. The Social Security, there are codes to every single payment that goes out. Every single payment that goes out has a corresponding MBR, master beneficiary record. And for those of you that used to get the old letters, so they've changed them, but you used to have a little letter at the end of your Social Security number if you're receiving Social Security benefits. If you're receiving them on your own record, you get your Social Security number an A. If you're a child, you're getting C1. If you're a spouse getting them, it's a B. If you're a widow, it's a W. So that tells you that's the code of why you're getting that benefits. I don't know why another separate agency, the Department of Treasury, wants to go in there and second guess. Okay, why is that child? Why is that spouse? Why are you receiving disability benefits? That makes no sense whatsoever. So he just doesn't understand how the system works. All right, let's see what else.
Common sense wise would say the fraud's got to end. Yeah. They're concerned about the 94-year-old mother who skips a check or somehow doesn't get what she's supposed to get.
Right. And what we're trying to say is actually that the 94-year-old grandmother is actually, as a result of DOGE's work, going to get her check. She's not going to be robbed by fraudsters like she's getting robbed today. And the solvency of the federal government will ensure that she continues to receive the Social Security checks, that Medicare continues to work, without which we're all doomed. And the reason we're doing this is because if we don't do it, America's going to go insolvent, going to go bankrupt, and nobody's going to get anything.
All right. So kind of a savior complex there. If it's not for him and his team, then we're all doomed. And people call me a fearmonger. So interesting. All right. So let me play the clip. So this is the issue with Social Security. We all know, regular viewers to my channel know that in a few years, time is coming up. In a few years, we're going to get cuts to our Social Security check. Why? Because this much comes in FICA taxes every year, interest on, the treasury bonds and people that pay taxes on Social Security and regular FICA, that comes in, this much comes in every year, that much goes out. And a couple of years ago, it was about $70 billion gap. Last year, the numbers aren't in yet, probably about $100 billion gap. Where does that $70 billion, $100 billion come from? It comes from the trust fund. The trust fund. So every year, that savings that the baby boomers built up, it comes out of there. But the problem is that trust fund is slowly being depleted. That was the intent of the trust fund. It was to cover that gap of the baby boomers. They put the money in, they deserve it. When the trust fund runs out, we're going to get this much coming in, that much going out, and there's nothing going to be in there to cover the gap. So by law, Social Security can only pay out what it receives in unless there is a savings. And so in 2034, probably a little bit earlier now, 2033, you're going to get about a 22% cut. Everybody's going to get a cut. If some of the things that the current administration are talking about, no taxes on Social Security, which I kind of agree with, but that's also going to deplete the trust fund sooner, probably about 2031 and about 33% cuts. And that's a reality. I've got in my YouTube channel, you can go down there and you can see the Congressional Budget Office. You can see the actuary report. You can see the Social Security trustees report. That is a fact of life. The reason we haven't fixed this is not Trump's fault. It's not Elon Musk's fault. It's not DOGE's fault. It's all of them. It's Trump because he was president for 4 years before. It was Biden's fault. It was Obama's fault. It was Bush's fault. It was Clinton's fault. And every politician for the last few decades. They haven't done their job to fix it. So we're going to get cuts. Why haven't they done their job? Not because there's not solutions. If you look at my YouTube channel description, you can see the actuary report. He's got a whole spreadsheet of solutions, dozens of super solutions that you could get your grade school kids to come up with. And okay, we'll do this one. And there, it's fixed. But the problem is political will. We haven't gotten our politicians to fix it. Why? Because they keep distracting us with stupid distractions. Look over here while they pick our pocket over here. One of those distractions is, well, the Social Security Trust Fund has been stolen. It's been raided. So as soon as we're looking for it, we're looking for that $2.6 trillion. And as soon as we find it, then we'll put it back in there and everything will be hunky-dory. Yeah, no, they've been saying that for decades. And Social Security Trust Fund is fake. They've been saying that since 1936. It's all just monopoly the money and fake IOUs. They've been saying that forever, which is interesting because the Wall Street, billionaires, they want that money really, really bad, and they know it's not fake. And why else would they want it if it's not fake? So that's one of the things. So you didn't see Elon Musk and DOGE say, "Oh, and yeah, we found that the trust fund was stolen." You didn't hear him say that, did you? So that one off the table. The Social Security Trust Fund is fake IUs. Didn't say that, did they? What's some of the other distractions that politicians have been pulling on us? It's been given out to illegals. All the money's been given out to illegals, undocumented immigrants. Did you see him talk about that? Oh, we just found that billions of dollars were given out to illegal aliens, undocumented immigrants. Did he say that? No. If he would have found that, would he said something? Of course he would. That one's fixed. The deep state corruption in Social Security, they're the ones in there. The guy said, "Hey, Social Security employees are doing a great job." So no deep state conspiracy there, off the table. What else? Massive fraud that, giving out this massive fraud. No, Social Security, if they would have found this massive fraud, they found, again, a few Social Security numbers that should be closed out. Yes, we all agree they should be closed out. If you want to spend your money closing them out, go have fun, take your juice box over there. But we need serious people to talk about serious issues in Social Security and massive fraud. Social Security, yes. Is there fraud in Social Security? One of the things they did, which is good, is it's going to cause a lot of people a lot of aggravation, is they were talking about direct deposit fraud. And the guy that was talking about direct deposit fraud, I don't know, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. He either lied or he just misspoke. I'll say he misspoke. He said 40% of all calls coming into Social Security are direct deposit fraud. No. And then the next day on a bunch of news channels, you'll see that, 40% of all calls coming into Social Security are direct deposit fraud. No, that's not what the IG report said. What the IG report said was 40% of direct deposit frauds are from phone calls. That's it. It's, it's kind of like in the Anchorman where the guy says, he's taking the men's cologne and he's saying 40% of the time it works 100% of the time or something. So yeah, this guy is a math whiz, but he doesn't understand percentages anyway. So no. So they did make a policy change that they said, okay, if you can't change your direct deposit online, then you'll have to go down to the local Social Security office. And okay, I think that might be a good change. There was a lot of fraud and people calling up and, trying to change their mother's or ex-boyfriend or, ex-spouse or whatever, their Social Security number or their direct deposit to get those checks and cause them harm. And, so, okay, that's fine. But that's it. That's the only two things they found, the Social Security numbers. And as soon as they get that, they're going to be done. They've got that checked off the list. Politicians can't use that against us. The only weapon that politicians have against us now to prevent us from coming together, because over 80% of people support strengthening Social Security and 73 million people support not having their Social Security checks cut. I don't think okay, it's like 4 out of 5 dentists. There might be some people out there, yeah, go ahead and cut my Social Security, no big deal. I guess the Commerce Secretary's mother-in-law, I guess she doesn't mind if Social Security numbers, if their check are cut. But 80% plus, every time there's a poll, 80% of plus people say, yes, Social Security could stay strengthened, make sure the cuts aren't happen. And the last weapon that politicians have is the weapon I see in my live Q&A right here. This is the last weapon they can use against us. And that weapon is division. That's the last weapon they have. All of the other BS, trust funds stolen, empty, given to this group, given to Ukraine, all that, Elon Musk and DOGE have done us a big favor by finally clearing the decks and say, yeah, we didn't find any of that crap. Sorry, politicians have been using that BS story for decades. We just didn't find it. Did we tell you about the Social Security numbers? So this is it. So anybody that tells you, they come at you and they attack you, and this is the last bastion of, a scoundrel, I guess, is just attack the other side. So when all these people that have already, put in my live Q&A, I'm an idiot. You're right. I'm a libtard, fascist, communist, Nazi, socialist, fearmonger, radical, reactionary, extremist, Marxist, authoritarian, traitor. Now that we've got that on the way, how can we make sure our Social Security check don't get cut in the future? And sometimes you might have to change this. So if someone is really, really far gone, there's people out there that don't care about themselves or their family or friends as long as they can stick it to the other side. So they're willing to suffer as long as you suffer too. So in that case, you have to change the bottom to maybe, how can we make sure your Social Security check is not cut in the future? So if you add R in there, they might say, well, then I want you to suffer. So yeah, some people are too far gone and we really can't help them. But all right, so that's the situation. Now they can't hold anything against us except for division. We come together and we force them and reach out to your politicians and say, hey, what are you doing to strengthen Social Security? What are you doing to make sure the cuts don't happen in the future? What are you doing to make sure, Social Security is here for my kids and my grandkids and all the rest of it? Reach out to your politicians. And when they use all of that trust fund and given to illegals and massive fraud and all that kind of stuff, then tell them, well, how come DOGE and Elon Musk didn't seem to find any of that? What's going on there? So reach out to your politicians. There's the senator, the representative, Capitol Switchboard. Reach out to the president, go on to their social media, talk to local news, and we can use this as an opportunity to finally fix Social Security. And thank you, Elon Musk, and thank you, DOGE. Not sure they intended it, but hey, we'll take it as we get it. All right, so let's jump into a bunch of questions, and I'll even respond to some of the people that called me all those names. Sorry, old Marine Corps sergeant. I love being attacked. So let's see here. The unelected reps that stole office that made those illegal laws must be held accountable. The unelected reps or politicians made those laws, illegitimate laws. Well, if it's passed, it's, I guess, by definition, it's anyway. So, all right. Been receiving direct deposit Social Security and SSI for years in the beginning of the month, which is when my rent is due. My birthday is on the 23rd, when my payments be changed to the if usually they keep you in the same type of payment cycle. If you are receiving benefits for, was it May of 1997, you're on a different payment cycle. But yeah, usually if you're getting SSDI and SSI, then you're getting the two checks. You're getting one on the first of the month, and then the SSDI on whatever, based on your month you were born, the day you were born. In the old days, you used to be able to change that, but I've had some people reach out to Social Security and try to get it changed, and they've stopped changing it. There were very, very extenuating circumstances, but the Department of Treasury and everybody, you can't change it anymore, unfortunately. So yeah, it's unfortunate. Yeah, some people just they need it at that particular time. All right, I'm just clicking at random here. These people in government make it 10 times the money regular workers make, then get more Social Security Disability Fairness Act called Crap Act. Okay, yeah, that's the Social Security Fairness Act, which regular viewers know I'm not a big fan of. It's giving higher percentage to retired government workers. They did pay into Social Security, but they get a higher percentage than equal workers going forward. And I don't think that's fair. But it was passed by Biden. It was supported by both parties. It was supported by the President Trump. We lost that battle. So I do not trust DOGE going into records. Elon could do anything. We will not know. Yeah, I mean, he has a good opportunity. If the direct deposit thing, it's going to cause a lot of people on disability, elderly, that can't go down to the office. They don't have internet access and they need to change a direct deposit or something. But I think their heart, I guess their motivation is in the right place to stop that type of fraud. So I think that's a good one. I think they should make some type of exceptions or whatever the case may be. And they were talking about, again, the thing about Social Security numbers, and these people were using Social Security numbers to go out to other places and get disability and unemployment insurance and stuff. Well, that has nothing to do with Social Security. They're not receiving disability from Social Security. They might be, receiving state disability or something. And they're saying, well, the reason is because there's these millions of Social Security numbers that, Social Security didn't close out. Okay, we're going to close those out. Okay, well, good. No more Social Security fraud. So no more identity theft. No more someone open up a credit card and you're on your Social Security number. Nobody doing, no, come on. There's 360 million other Social Security numbers out there. So just to close down those few is, it's not. Do you not think AI can improve the system by a better computerized program? Depends what your definition of better is. Can they make it more efficient? Yeah. Could I did a poll about this about a week ago, and I asked people whether they wanted their disability or retirement or survivor benefits decided by AI, and 90% of people said, no, not so much. They don't really trust AI because you can go in there and one person can go in there and kind of manipulate the bin points and the calculations. And, then we have what is the Superman / Office Space situation where someone goes in there and grabs a penny from everybody or a dollar and then leaves the country. There's a place, but we need to be very, very, very careful. And to update the computer system, Social Security has been begging Congress for decades. We need resources to update our computer system. We like to close out these numbers. Give us money, and we'll close out these numbers, and we'll make it. We'll increase customer service. And politicians, they want customer service to be as terrible as possible. And I'm talking both parties here. There's some on one party that don't, and some, but anyway, I try to be on both sides. But they've wanted customer service to be terrible because, so we'll hate Social Security. So if you hear about all this incompetence and the house is falling down and, you can't get on the phone, then people say, well, Social Security is doing a terrible job. Let's go ahead and give it over to the billionaires in Wall Street. And that's kind of the plan, right? So they make it as terrible as possible, and they're doing a really, really good job now by firing all these people and making the system go down or whatever the case may be. Was it their fault that the system went down? I'll give them a break on that one too. I probably not. There's a lot of people that are kind of freaking out about Social Security right now, and so there's a possibility that there was a massive influx of people into the Social Security and my Social Security. So I unless I see proof, I'll just say it's just a regular down. Sometimes the Social Security, my Social Security goes down. The internal system, PCOM, MCS, MISICs, those go down. Not very often, about once a year or so. And, usually it comes back up within a couple hours. So I've had that several times when I ran my office and say, hey, the computer system, we've got, 500 people out in the lobby. Hey, the computer system is down. If y'all can, if y'all want to hang out and, it might come up in an hour or so. And usually it came up in an hour or so, which is pretty phenomenal considering it's based on 1970s technology. And, Social Security has been begging Congress forever. We need to update this system. But they just didn't want to. So Elon, update the system, but don't put any Superman codes in there. If Elon wanted to help us, he would recommend raising the cap instead. He's making with the cut. Yes, there you go. Yes. If you really want to increase Social Security benefits, there you go. You are 100% right. If he really wanted to increase, and he can do this. So mark my words, I think you said, right? Come back to this. Because of DOGE, everybody will receive more money. And the only way he can do it is if he leads an effort to do exactly what you just said. Pesos is my new hero for today. Yes. So how he can do it is he can say, okay, we looked into Social Security and it's very efficient. It passes audits every year, 1% overhead. That's pretty amazing. Guys are doing a great job. They can do better, of course, people, disability fraud and, early retirement working and that happens, unfortunately, but there is no massive, conspiracy fraud, waste and abuse inside Social Security. It's just individuals, trying to game the system. And, if Social Security had employees, they would be able to find more. But anyway, the way to solve it is raise the cap. You and I, unless Elon is watching, I hope you are, you and I pay FICA the 6.2% on every dollar we make under $176,100. Any money you make over $176,100, you're exempt from FICA Social Security tax. So that's not fair. We pay it on every dime we make 365 days of the year. Elon Musk, well, he probably doesn't pay any because he gets money from, loan from banks and stuff like that. So stock options or whatever. So he probably doesn't pay FICA. So I'm not wondering, should he even be even there if he doesn't contribute to the system? And people will say, but he does pay because he pays the employer part of 6.2%. Well, if that's your argument, then he is the worst business owner ever, because every other business owner in the country always says, okay, I'm going to hire this employee and I'm going to pay them this much and give them health insurance and all that. And I also have to factor in the 6.2% I have to pay and the 1.45% I have to pay for Medicare. So therefore I'm going to pay them, this much in the check. So they factor that in there. So yeah, if he really wants to, there's a bill in Congress right now that he can support that strengthens Social Security, that raises the cap, that smashes the cap, and it also includes an extra $2,400 per year for people receiving Social Security benefits. So yeah, it's there. $2,400 a year is there. So that's, I guess that's how he can. So we just figured out. He said he's going to give y'all more money, and that's how he can give more money. So it's a beautiful thing. Oh, this is also, I got a few more days here. This is the open enrollment period, general enrollment period for Medicare. So general enrollment period, that is, if you forgot to sign up for Medicare when you were supposed to, the A and B, now you can do it until March 31st. You have to contact Social Security and get that done. And you might get a penalty if you're, late, 10% for every 12 months past your 65th birthday, or, 24 months after disability. But you have until March 31st. If you don't, then you're going to have to wait till next year, next January, to do it. And it's also the last few days. March 31st is the end of the open enrollment period, which is Medicare Advantage. So if you have a Medicare Advantage plan and you forgot to check it, you're not sure if it's the best one, you want to check to make sure your doctor's there, you want to see if you can save any more money for the rest of the year, you have a few more days to check it, and you can change it. So you can reach out to Chapter, and they sponsor this live Q&A. And you can also, until March 31st, you can also jump ship on your Medicare Advantage plan, go back to original Medicare, and then get a Medicare supplement plan. Those are the ones I recommend, Medicare supplement plan N or G, but they do come at a cost, and you might have to go through health underwriting. So, all right. I love your humor, Ed. In these dark times, we need to chuckle once in a while. Yes, we do. It's that old Marine Corps gallows humor, I guess. I didn't receive my Social Security check for March. Do you know why that happened? No idea. It's not a system-wide thing. Social Security hasn't missed a check in 90 years. So that's pretty awesome. And they haven't need to be bailed out either, right? So, like Tesla was bailed out by the government. Obama bailed him out. So I blame Obama, I guess. But yeah, I would reach out to Social Security and find out. But if you're born on the last 10 days of the month, and that means your Social Security check comes on the fourth Wednesday of the month, and the fourth Wednesday of the month is already gone. So you would definitely, you should definitely reach out and find out what's going on. You can tell this guy is a Democrat. We don't care what the Democrats think. Your Social Security check will be there, and Trump is using Nesra. So yeah, I'm a Democrat, Republican, Democrat, socialist, communist, and so okay. How can we fix your Social Security check? If I paid into retirement, railroad retirement for 9 years, but got to be with railroad 10 years to get railroad retirement, does the money I paid in turn over to Social Security since it never went back? I'm not a big expert on railroad retirement. When you go into Social Security and you mention that you work for the railroad, I've done this a few thousand times, Social Security employee has to call the railroad board. Ours was in Mesa, Arizona, in our region. And we said, who has jurisdiction? And they look at the records. Oh, we have jurisdiction. We said, oh, you need to go down to the railroad board. So I don't think, and the railroad you pay into, but yeah, I would defer to the railroad board on that one. So people who make more are even less likely to need Social Security in their retirement. Probably will make too much to bother collecting until 70. Yes, and that's been the case since 1935, since day one. That's how Social Security has been set up since day one. People that have low income throughout their life get a higher percentage in their retirement checks than people that have a higher income. So that's been like that since day one. So grandma used to say, we're living in perilous times, boys. Yes, yes. But I'm trying to be an optimist here. I think, again, the political will is the thing that has always kept us from fixing Social Security and preventing the impending cuts. But we've always been distracted. And now politicians can't distract us anymore. They can, divide us and, so we can call each other names and stuff like that. But that doesn't really serve a purpose. So the people that do that are just not being serious. So. But it's fun to play with them. Sorry. Millionaires should have to pay in FICA taxes like everyone else. Maybe that would help Social Security. That would 100% help Social Security. Everybody knows, the regular viewers know that that's the one I recommend. You go into my YouTube description. It has the Social Security actuarial analysis. Anytime anybody has some bright idea and said, hey, I know how I can fix Social Security and make sure there are no cuts in the future, this. And then the Social Security actuary pulls out his big calculator and he runs the numbers and he says, well, yeah, if we do that, that'll help, 10% of the problem. That'll help 20% of the problem, 70% of the problem. So he's got a whole spreadsheet I've got in my description that goes in there. So the one that can help over 70% of the problem is smashing the cap on FICA. So everybody pays FICA the same as everybody else. That, as of right now, it only solves about 73% of the problem. Oh, and that's another thing the politicians say. Well, if it's not a perfect solution, then you let the perfect be the enemy of the good. If it doesn't solve 100% of the problem, and you don't get free ice cream, and Ed doesn't get his hair back. So if Ed doesn't get his hair back, I guess that's then why? No, that's, you get that one, the 70th. It was that one, the smashing the FICA cap was 100% solution if we had done it 5 years ago. I think it was like 4 or 5 years ago, it solved 100% of the problem. But the problem is, the closer you get to the cliff, the less it helps. So you grab your grade school kids and you say, okay, here's 73%. Look on this chart and find me another 10, 20, 30%, and add those together to 100%, and it's fixed. Yeah. So easy to fix. The problem is we are not making our politicians fix it because they keep distracting us and they keep us calling each other names. So the economy was trending in the right direction before Trump was elected. He screwed everything up with his stupid tariffs and chaos. Yeah, and the tariffs, that's another reason that the Social Security Trust Fund is going to be the run out of money quicker, is because tariffs equal inflation. Inflation means more COLA. People are like, oh, a higher COLA, that's great. But it's just, to compensate for inflation. But a higher COLA means more out of the trust fund. So, yeah. I applied for Social Security in January. I heard nothing from them and was on hold for 7 hours yesterday. They told me nothing. Yeah. If they wanted to fix the system, perfect. Social Security computer system needs to be fixed. But they did it, as we used to say in the Marine Corps, ass backwards. You make the computer system more efficient, and then once it's more efficient, then if you don't need the government employees, Social Security employees, then okay, you let them go then. DOGE did it the opposite way. These genius business people, come on, they fired everybody, and then they say, okay, now I guess, you need to work on efficiency. So yeah, you're supposed to do it the opposite way. So anyway, the rich continues to get richer, and the middle and poor continue to struggle to pay attention. Vote for the person's policies, not from taking from Social Security, is insane. People are struggling. Yeah, millions and millions and millions of people live on Social Security alone. And if they get a cut in the future, then yeah, it's gonna hurt. We are approximately $35 trillion in debt. If nothing is done, no one will get anything. Understand? Yeah, but that's not Social Security. That's, yeah, it has nothing to do with Social Security. Social Security is not in debt. Social Security has a $2.6 trillion, savings. And Social Security will be around here for 100, 200, 500,000 years. The issue is how much you will get. As long as there's people working and paying FICA, Social Security FICA, then money will still come in. The issue is how much will come in. Will 80% come in? Will 90% come in? Will 100% come in? Social Security will always be here unless we decide to privatize it and give it to Wall Street. But FICA money will continue to come in. The problem is because more money is going to the top that is exempt from Social Security FICA. That's the issue. It's not, because we're not having kids or anything like that. No. It's because of money that is exempt from Social Security FICA tax. So, is it possible to switch from Advantage to normal insurance? Advantage plans don't have my preferred doctor. Yeah, that's called a Medicare supplement plan. Absolutely. And you've only got a few more days to do it. You can get out of your Medicare Advantage plan and go back to original Medicare and then pick a, Medicare supplement and a plan N. I like the plan N because I'm cheap like that, but a G is just as good, different, but it depends on your state. You might have to go through health underwriting, and it's not a physical necessarily that you have to do. So if you call up Chapter, they say, okay, what state do you live in? And say, okay, here's a Medicare supplement plan. What do you think? Does this work in your budget? And then they ask you about 20 or 30 questions. And if you answer no to most of them, then you're good. And then with Medicare supplement plans, there are no networks. Your network is America. Any doctor, hospital, clinic that takes original Medicare takes Medicare supplement. So yeah. No prior authorizations. So that's why I prefer Medicare supplements. But the new boss of CMS, the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services, Dr. Oz, is everybody that ever watches, his TV show. He is a big fan of Medicare Advantage plans. So we'll see what's going on there. Let's see. If it were not for Elon, we would have never known the extent of fraud in Social Security. I am grateful. Otherwise, we have lost all benefits. So he hasn't found any fraud yet. So I'm not sure what fraud you're talking about. He has found $0 of fraud in Social Security. And when he first started talking about these, millions of Social Security numbers that Social Security hasn't closed out, he was saying it's the greatest fraud in history. And, these people are getting paid billions of dollars. And then it's like, well, are these people getting paid billions of dollars? And then it's like crickets, because he went in there and says, oh, that database, you don't pay money from that database. The database that pays money is over here. And those records are correct and clean and awesome and beautiful. But yeah, so that, not sure where you see that he found any fraud in Social Security, but he hasn't. So is there fraud in Social Security? Of course there are. There are people that are working, that are receiving disability benefits that are working. Yeah, there is fraud, but that's not one of these massive things where he can say, oh, look, I found $1 billion. No, Social Security fraud is super, super boring. And it takes a lot of, it's going after that one person down the street that's receiving disability benefits and working over the substantial gainful activity and sending out the forms and seeing if they're in their trial work period or see if they're in their extended period of eligibility and see if they have any unsuccessful work attempts or IRWs. And yeah, it's boring. Bureaucracy is a boring thing, but it's necessary. A necessary evil, as they say, right? But yeah, he wants to find billions of dollars, but yeah, he hasn't yet. And he won't. As he said, mark my words. As I'm saying, mark my words. Have they really been using MBR systems since the 1980s? Yeah, it's been around for, MBR, they used to use the old, was it the 80 card, those little card thingies? Remember the old computer cards? Yeah, I've actually got one around here somewhere. But yeah, the 80 punch card things. Yeah, It's crazy. And they used to have to do a teletype back to Baltimore to find out what your PIA is, and it's crazy. I saw pictures of the old computer system back in the 70s and 60s. This is not new, the audit. It's a term they use to make you think they're fixing it. Don't buy into that. Yeah. Social Security passes every audit. If they want to find billions of dollars of fraud, waste, and abuse, I'll tell you where to find it. It's not on the Social Security numadent, the DOD, which is the date of death, which is causing all the controversy. The real DOD, fraud, waste, and abuse, is the Department of Defense. Come from an old Marine Corps sergeant. That's billions of dollars right there. That's billions of dollars. Someone says, facts only, Ed, no opinions. Yep, these are all facts. So go into you can read the trustees report, the audits, everything I say is based on facts. I heard DOGE fired 98,000 people. Is this true? I'm not sure in totality. I know they're at about 8,000 of Social Security employees, and I know they're talking about 83,000 Veterans Affairs employees that take care of our veterans. They're talking about that. I'm not sure whether they've pushed the button on that yet. Every time COLA increases, it's a Medicare increase. Yeah, Medicare increases pretty much every single year. There was one time it increased more than the COLA, and there's a law that addresses that. But Medicare, how it's decided, the Medicare Part B is how it's decided. It's based on, they look at next year and how much, so Medicare needs to protect people, to, provide health care. Yes. No, I don't believe anything Trump, Musk, or Putin say. No, I do not believe we will get an increase. I believe they will decrease it or end it. Yeah. I certainly hope not. I think they're doing a really good job in terms of destroying people's, faith and confidence in Social Security. But if you really look at it and read between the lines, it's these Social Security numbers. These Social Security numbers. When they fix all these Social Security numbers, what are they gonna do next? So they're kind of taking their own weapon away from them. I'm 64, date of birth, August 60, SSDI for 30 years, was married 20 years, estranged from husband since 2010. He died 2015. What's my best course of action to maximize benefits? Well, you are 64 years old. About 4 years ago, you should have checked to see if you were entitled to survivor benefits. So survivor benefits, widower, same thing. You can start at 60 years old. And a lot of people on disability don't know that. They say, well, if I get survivor benefits, then sure, it's more money, maybe, depends on your situation. It might be more money, but then I'll lose my disability because I'll be on survivor benefits. And because I'm, 60, 61, I'll lose my Medicare. That is 100% incorrect. If you are eligible for survivor benefits at 60 or 64 now, get them. What will happen is they will go on top of your disability benefits. One will offset the other. You don't get two full checks. One offsets the other. But because you still have disability, your Medicare will continue. So call Social Security and give them that person's information. If you don't know the Social Security number, no problem. Just give them the person's name, date of birth, wherever they were born, as best as you know that information. And they'll be able to find the person's Social Security number, and they'll see how much that person's benefit amount is, and they'll see if you're entitled to those benefits. Another thing you should do, that you're coming up on their 65th birthday, that's when you can, at 65, you can switch from a Medicare Advantage plan to a Medicare supplement plan. In most states, if you're receiving Medicare because of a disability under 65, then you can't get a Medicare supplement plan. All you can get is a Medicare Advantage plan. But when you turn 65, they can't deny you. No health underwriting, no extra, they don't charge you extra or anything like that. So definitely check it out. Let's see. I think all we retirees should all go back to work for the Social Security Administration. Yeah. I used to bring in a lot of volunteers. It was called the AARP. It was through the Department of Labor. They probably lost funding now, but through the AARP administers it, AARP senior volunteers. And in my office, we had more senior volunteers than every other office in the country, probably combined. because I like free labor. So yeah, we had a lot of senior volunteers. So if you're looking for, to find something to do, and they're volunteers, but the Department of Labor, if they still have a budget, then they pay kind of a stipend to those volunteers. And then there's another thing my office used that I recommend all Social Security offices should use, but anyway, is called NPWE, non-paid work experience. It's for veterans, kind of like vocational rehab type thing. Even though it's called non-paid work experience, the Veterans Administration pays that person to come in. So, and a lot of those I actually hired to work for Social Security. I loved every day I worked for Social Security. It was an awesome job. I loved the mission. I loved the people. Sometimes customers were challenging. Stop stealing our toilet paper and all that other kind of stuff. But anyway, having babies in our waiting room. So don't give about a budget. Yeah. Let's see here. Also, we can't point to liberals for it. I am sure whether frauded the government was all sorts of beliefs. Yeah, that's why I kind of avoid, using left, right, and Democrat, Republican stuff like that, because the way I see it is you've got one party, I'm not going to mention, that has been against Social Security since 1935. It's, doesn't want Social Security, wants it to be privatized. Okay, it's easy to deal with. The old Martin Luther King quote. And you've got another side that says they support it, but they're doing a terrible job, incompetent job, because if they were doing a good job, then cuts wouldn't be happening. The customer service would be a lot better, and the computer system would be updated. So both parties suck. They just suck for different reasons. And the reason they're not solving the problem is because they keep distracting us and we keep falling for it. But they can't distract us anymore. They can still divide us. So because of the possible dawning of the robotics age, a little Orwell here, major upheavals of human labor is about to come into play. Social Security, as we know it, may be displaced with the need for a universal income. Yeah, universal basic income. So yeah, with the AI and all that kind of stuff, there's no longer need for labor. And then you're going to have, tons of people out of work. And if you don't want a revolution, then yeah, people are going to need to be able to eat and, live someplace and, raise their families. And if there's no jobs and there's no money, and yeah, then that's a recipe for a revolution. So yeah, some people are saying, they'll come up with a universal basic income, but I would argue that Social Security will be even better in the future, because you've got the IRS, they will bring in the taxes, and then who's going to give out that universal basic income? What agency is in every single area in the country? Offices. What agency gives out checks every single month? What agency has that customers? Well, once they get their customers. So I think if we're going to do a universal basic income in the future, then Social Security is going to be the ones that, that do that. So I think Social Security is going to be bigger and stronger in the future if that happens. But yeah, anyway. People are so naive, they're hyperbolic with the fraud announcements, but DOGE, Department of Grift and Embezzlement, never provides proof. Yeah, a lot of allegations that, the house is falling down, it's, rat infested, it's mold infested. And then they go in there and say, oh, there's that picture. It's a little askew there. So let's see. I was the one that was overpaid. I made an agreement to pay it back 3 years at $400 per month. Can they start taking my entire check and bypass the agreement? No, you made the agreement. You did 3 years. You can do up to 5 years, 60 months. So you can call them up. And so if you're good with the $400, it's interest free. I'm just saying. If you're good with the $400, you just want to get rid of it as soon as possible, then you're good. Yeah, they're not going to renege on that. So you're good. But you can call them up and renegotiate and say, hey, I was looking at the $400 and can I do 5 years? So yeah. Called my social worker. She said it's for the new people applying, but over 8 years I'd be good and they must send a letter. Yeah, I'm not sure. Kind of a public service announcement about all of the changes, the DOGE and everybody who's in charge of Social Security. Kind of are throwing people for a loop and really freaking people out. A lot of people are stressed out there. The new policy, as of right now, it hasn't changed yet today, is you don't have to go into Social Security in April. If you're currently receiving benefits, don't call Social Security. Don't go to your local office April 1st or April 14th or whatever you hear out there. If you're currently receiving benefits, you're good. If you want to file a new claim and you can do it completely online, you're good. Ignore all the new, stuff coming out in the news and social media land. If you need to change your direct deposit and you can do that online, you're good. Okay. If you're filing a new claim and you have a phone appointment, then you go ahead and keep your phone appointment. And then the employee at that time will tell you what the policy is at that particular hour and say, in your particular case, you have to come down and you have to show me your ID. Or for direct deposit, then if you can't do it online, then you have to go down to local Social Security office. So there's that situation. And what do we talk about? What is retirement benefits? Just retirement benefits, not disability, not Medicare. You don't have to go down to your local office, only for retirement. But retirement, Social Security considers retirement to be retirement benefits, early retirement, delayed retirement, spouse benefits, divorced spouse benefits, independently entitled divorced spouse benefits, and surviving spouse benefits. I think they'll change the policy on that one too, because, we don't want a bunch of, 80, 90-year-olds being forced to go down to the local Social Security office so they can get their surviving spouse benefits. So I anticipate that's going to be another change. So they say, oh, we're going to do all this. And they say, okay, never mind. We're going to do this. Oh, we're going to shut it down. Okay, never mind. So yeah, it's crazy. If everything is going well, where is our checks? Never had a problem ever until we know who. Yeah, if checks hadn't gone out on a mass scale, I think we would be hearing a whole heck of a lot more. Sometimes the mail and direct deposit, or, maybe you have an overpayment and they, under DOGE, they've reinstated the 100% withholding. So if you have an overpayment or if you have a debt, alimony or child support or student loan or IRS type thing, they've reinstated that recently. So maybe that might be it. So, all right, we've got about 3 more minutes. Let me see if I can get an actual Social Security type question here. Had a situation when I applied for SSDI that kept on asking Minus, you sure you are not getting it already? No, I wasn't. Then was called to office. They called me. I signed a statement saying I don't. They asked me if you are not getting it already. SSDI. Yeah, if you're getting SSDI from Social Security, they already know you're getting SSDI. Probably what they're talking about, workers' comp, public disability benefits from your state. Yeah, if that's the case, then yeah, they bring you down there, because if you're receiving Social Security disability insurance and you're receiving workers' comp type disability, public disability benefits, then that offsets your disability benefits. So, that's probably what that was about. Not like a private disability. So if you got some private disability insurance and you're getting that doesn't count against your disability. So echoes of agony. All right. I'll be 47 years old, been collecting Social Security for 13 years now to disabilities, but I worked for many years before I collected it. Never been married. Is there anything I can do to increase it? Basically to increase benefits after you're on them is a COLA increase, and then working and paying a Social Security. Remember, you can work and collect disability benefits. Social Security has a lot of provisions in there. Congress has made a lot of provisions to enable you to try to go back to work, trial work period and extended period of eligibility and all that kind of stuff. So I've done a bunch of videos on that. Make sure you check it out. It gets kind of complicated. Elon Musk can definitely help with that if he wants to set up some type of, system to help people, go back to work and make sure they're, don't get overpaid in terms of a disability, don't get overpaid in terms of SSI, supplemental security income, the welfare-based benefit. There's a lot of places for improvement with Social Security. So if he wants to finally stop playing around with those Social Security numbers, which don't, then he can actually help. But please don't. Yeah. All right, this will be the last one. Employers do discriminate on SSDIs. Been told too much of a damn risk and sick of it. They should be sued. They want people with 750 credit, as it was on the news last year, have not been lying. So discriminate against people on disabilities. Yeah, yeah. Oh, this is another one I'm going to have to add to my list. Dr. Ed is a government swamp creature. Okay. Thank you very much. I will add that to my list. Libtard, fascist, communist, Natchez, the government swamp creature. Okay, I'll add that to my list. So, Michael, what can we do to help you make sure your Social Security checks are not cut in the future? So, all right, y'all take care. Have an awesome day. And I'll probably be back here again tomorrow with some topic of the day and answer as many questions as I possibly can. Y'all have an awesome night. And please, 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 please take care of each other.